Then go live. How does that work? Okay. Okay. All right, I'm streaming. All right, everybody, we're at the Raider press conference. It's about to get going here. Yes. Yeah. All right. Hope everyone's doing good here. Yep. All right, we got Charles Woodson right now, so let's take him right into the show. Yep. Thank you. How are we? Jump on this.
We're all happy right now.
Jump in. We're taping right before we start. We're going to go live with you at the top, so here we go. Oh. Charles Woodson joins us live from Raiders HQ after the press conference. What'd you think?
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of questions thrown at a guy who just came off a Super Bowl. But that's the role he's in now, and everybody wants to know, what's the last 24 hours been like for him? What's his new coaching staff going to look like? Who are we going to get with the first pick? And he's trying to field all these questions. Just worried about trying to get to the parade tomorrow. And then after that, get started. But no, I thought it was good.
I thought it was a great power move to have all you guys up there. How'd you get the call? You were up at Super Bowl all week. When did you know that you were going to be a part of this?
Yeah, I got the call over the weekend, and then I saw Sandra at the Super Bowl, and she said, "Hey, Mark, wants you guys there." And I'm kind of figuring out my travel because I'm going home way back to Florida. Then I got to tell my wife and that sort of thing. But I'm appreciative because this whole thing is always about once a Raider, always a Raider. Mark Davis, Al Davis, they've always taken care of former players, and Mark wants the former players to be a part of this transition. Show that support for the new coach that's coming in, and he wants this thing to be right, man. And so it's great for us to be a part of it.
You supported all the other coaches too. Why does this feel different?
I just watching the way he operated these last couple of weeks, from an offensive standpoint, because I don't know him as a head coach, but just watching him offensively against the Rams, and then of course last week's game against the Patriots, and watching the way he's able to set plays up early in the game, and then make them look the same late in the game, and then run something totally different. To come out in a specific formation 2 weeks ago, and then I noticed that same formation in this game, and I'm expecting something as a defensive player who's looking at tendencies, and then running something to the other side, but it looks the same. So the defense saw that too, and their attention is to what it looked like was 2 weeks ago, and then run something totally different. Like that's game planning, that's preparation. And it's strategic, and it's getting your players in the right positions, putting them in different positions, and being able to get what you want to, and getting the looks that you want to, and then running a great play to it. So that part of it, man, I'm excited about.
Hall of Famer Charles Woodson joins us as we wrap this up. I don't want you to have to put words in front of the coach or Max, but knowing the situation that Max is in under contract, he's the face of the franchise. We probably, before it becomes official, we didn't know what the coach. Mendoza seems to be a Heisman brother of yours who could be here. How important is this to keep the defense going? Because the defense was the stronger aspect of this team for a while.
Yeah, and Max ain't going nowhere. That's now those are my words. I don't have a say so what's going to happen. But man, I mean, I just love Max. Max is a Raider in my eyes, and I just want new coach, new staff to come in here and make sure that guy knows you're going to win here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're going to be happy here. And look, that a lot of losing turns people off. And when you're a great player like Max, of course, in the back of his mind, he looks at what happened in Seattle. We all looked at what just happened there 2 days ago. He wants to be a part of that. And so I think it's going to be important for the coach to make sure that Max understands and he's comfortable with him and knowing that he's going to bring a winning organization here. And then he's just got to bring in the right defensive people that make sure they can get the best out of Max and then surround Max with the guys that can get him to that next level.
On a personal note, Woodson Bourbon Whiskey was all over the Bay, all the way down from San Jose to Santa Clara game day. And then what you saw in San Francisco. Tell me about the brand.
Yeah, man, we were all over the place, man. I think, my team does such a great job of making sure that we're in the right places and we're visible and we're seen. We got tons of great feedback just from people who tried it for the first time. We have new distributors in California, Reyes Beverage Group, which is huge for us there. And I was able to meet a lot of their team, man, and they're eager and ready to work with Woodson Whiskey. And then we met, potential investors. We're at that stage where we're start trying to raise some capital to expand our brand and make it a little bit bigger than what it is, man. So we're excited.
Get home safe to your family. I know they miss you. Thanks for doing that, Charles.
Appreciate it, JJ.
That was great. Thanks, my brother. Appreciate it. Always. Have a good trip back. Best to your family. Thanks, Kelly.
How's it going, JT?
Good. Good to see you. What's happening? How are you? I just found out the alumni are leaving. Oh boy. I was counting it for me here. Yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more than that. That's why it was set up. How are you, Vince? Good to see you.
Great to see you.
We are here, so I'll check in quickly. How are you? Thanks for filling in. Our boy. How are you? How'd you think that went?
It's unbelievable.
Good.
Never got up here.
Yeah, never.
Right in the pocket.
Right in the pocket. I love that. Right in the pocket. 1 second. Hold on. All right, Clay, you got that. And we'll go live and we'll open up the show here in a few minutes. We'll see who they got us. Okay, hold on. Let me try my level. 1, 2, 3. Is this it? Check. All right. We need to know. 1, 2, 3. We're checking levels. We're good. Okay. If it's better, it's better. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. So how much time out?
I don't know.
Okay.
Just want to be your phone engineer. What did I say though? They're not gonna have one.
No. You had a good day today? You got when's your next hockey game? Oh, they're off forever. Right.
We do Olympic stuff.
We gotta do Olympic
We're so restricted what we can do.
Right. I figured that.
It's not a lot.
Okay. All right. How are our levels sounding, everybody? Everything sound good here? Okay.
Y'all sit on me.
Yeah, you can sit there. You're fine. Yeah, hang on. Good. Sorry.
Friends, Dash, we're gonna have chairs for swords and black home to sell the lots for 20 bike.
Man, I'm loving it, man. They're making my job tremendously easy. Be out here.
Slap in my face.
And they give you the toll with them?
Yeah.
All right, we're out of the gate. We're live from the Raiders head coach Clint Kubiak press conference that just concluded about 15 minutes ago. So we're live from the Intermountain Health Performance Center, and we're ready to go here for the next couple of hours here on Raider Nation Radio, on the Raiders mobile app, LV Sports Network, and you can watch our live stream as we are up and streaming again. It's been a couple of days since Radio Row, and we're back again here. So if you want to jump in, a lot of people are jumping in, and we just had Charles Woodson on. So if you're able to see that on our live stream, we'll replay that in a little bit. And then Hopefully we'll have the head coach coming up here in a little bit, and we'll just wait to see what the Raiders have in store for us. So that was an impressive press conference. I thought that the Raiders came out of the gate really strong, bringing out their legends. Mike Haynes was there along with Howie Long, to see Marcus Allen, Charles Woodson, Rich Gannon, and the great Jim Plunkett. So they were all lined up at the dais. And in all my years of watching press conferences, long before coming to the Raiders, I never saw anything like that. I have never seen anything like that before. That was very impressive for Mark Davis to jump in and have that opportunity ready to roll. So if you are there, you should be jumping over to our stream on YouTube at JT the Brick YT. Get on the stream. We should get John Spytek. We should get the head coach, and we are up and running. Appreciate everybody who followed us live from Radio Row, as we had a great opportunity to be there. We're right on the field. We're right here in the end zone, and we're setting this up. And if you're watching here, you can see our setup, which is great. Q was kind enough to get us set up here along with Lotus, and we got a good day of being live here. So if you want to jump in, be a part of the show over the next couple of hours, real easy to do that. Give us a call at 702-365-9200. We're going to have several insiders and guests on, and we'll go from there. And overall, if you take a look at what the Raiders are trying to do here, very impressive, number one, that they got Clint Kubiak. They got the coach that they wanted. If you've been listening to me for over the last month, I told you that this was the pick. There was no doubt in my mind that this was the coach that they were targeting along the way. This was the one they were targeting, and they ended up getting him. We also made it clear to everybody that there was a chance that you wouldn't get him, right? There's a chance that maybe you don't get the coach because you're out there hoping, you're honing in on one candidate doesn't become available, then you're going to be in a really difficult situation. That was not the case here. The Raiders ended up getting the guy that they wanted. And overall, if you look at what the Raiders were able to do, the Raiders were able to get the best candidate for them that was available. And I want to just make this point really clear as we open this up. You know, John Harbaugh was the best candidate available. John Harbaugh was the best candidate available, as we know. And for whatever reason, he wasn't available because he went to the Giants. Sean McDermott didn't get hired in this process. But let it be known that the Raiders were going after one candidate the whole time. It was Clint Kubiak. And give credit to Mark Davis and John Spytek and everybody else involved. They were able to get the individual that they wanted. So that's really important going forward as we open up the show. And I think that's really what this is all about today, is that the thing that I've been preaching here over the last couple of weeks is simply this. This is one of the easiest hires in the last 20 years for the Raiders to get behind. I mean, everybody in Raider Nation have had their problems with the last couple of coaches. I understand that. I'm not here to tell you who you should like or not, but I really believe that this is the opportunity to come together as a fan base. And the fan base has been splintered for quite some time because of the coaching staff. You have been. Either you didn't like the coach coming in, you didn't think the coach was the right fit coming in, you had your reasons for that. If you think you were right with the coach because it wasn't the right coach at the right time, maybe you were right. Maybe you were right, but you weren't going to change the hiring process of what the ownership was going to do, bringing in a certain coach. But now I would think that everyone would be aligned and everybody in the Raider Nation would come together. And everyone in the Raider Nation would get behind this move. And that's what this is about going forward. For me, it's really simple. I'm just blocking people's asses now that don't make any sense. I give a crap. If you're not on board, you can get away from me on this one. If you're on board, you should be sounded off and telling everybody why you like the hire. And for Clint Kubiak to come off the Super Bowl, it was good today to see his wife and kids here at the press conference. He talked about the quick travel, getting him out of school today. He will fly up after this press conference later today to be a part of the parade coming up tomorrow, which I think is going to be great. And I also thought that Clint Kubiak, the goal for him was just to come here today and introduce himself. He introduced himself to Max Crosby, all the other players who were there. Ashton Genty was right there in the front row. And we were thrilled about that, to see the players who were there. Also, as we kick this off, we want to thank our proud partners, especially Modelo, proud partner of the Silver and Black. Steve Gomez and his team are here, and we appreciate that. We would not be here without Modelo. and we appreciate that proud partnership as we get this going. So that's where we're at. Eric Allen is going to join us coming up here in a little bit, and some of the other legends, and hopefully we'll hear from you. Again, we had a difficult time streaming from Radio Row because it didn't work. There was just too much background noise. That isn't the case today. We're in a nice environment. We're in an environment that we feel like we can work with you. We're going to get to the call, so be patient because we're on hold, trying to make sure we get the coach, and the coach could be popping up at any minute. And if we get an opportunity to talk to the coach, we're going to have to stop you in mid-sentence, and we're going to have to get to the coach along the way. So with all that happening today, I hope everybody enjoyed Super Bowl week. If you had a good week at the Super Bowl, if it was the outcome that you liked, I thought the outcome was very good. I was happy that the Patriots did not win. I was excited that they could have got blown out, and they got beat pretty badly. And I think it was pretty important that Clint Kubiak won the Super Bowl, because I don't know how Raider Nation would have been able to handle Clint Kubiak losing the Super Bowl to Josh McDaniels, even though he was the right guy at the right time. And I'm really proud that the Raiders give us this opportunity for Q&I for us to be here today and have an opportunity to talk to some of the great legends of the game. You know, I don't get shocked much, but when we open up a radio show and you see these great legends all together here, normally that just doesn't happen. And I think that was a move by Mark Davis. What Mark Davis wanted to do was have the alumni here to set the tone with this young coach. And if the alumni were going to be here, it shows that Clint Kubiak, he grew up with the Broncos, with his father, who won Super Bowl 50. Clint Kubiak's the offensive coordinator of the team that won Super Bowl 60. And it was clear to me that Clint Kubiak knew a lot about the past. He knew a lot about the past of the Raiders, but more importantly, he understands the future of the Raiders coming in here. So this is going to be a fantastic day today, as we have an opportunity to celebrate something special. And I think we should celebrate this all together. Everybody should be on board, from Oakland to Los Angeles to Europe to the great global world of the Raider Nation. I can't imagine anyone in this fan base not celebrating today, having a great opportunity to talk about the future of the team, not putting the entire past behind them. But it's been a rough couple of years. And if you just look at what's been happening here in Las Vegas with all the coaching hires and firings, it really feels like they got a coach who they're going to give a long leash to, an opportunity to turn this around. And I think that's an important moment that we get into right now. And I'm really excited about that, because this is a moment in Raider history where everybody should be coming together and should be united. The former MVP of the Silver and Black is kind enough to join us. Rich Gannon joins us from headquarters. How are you, Rich?
Well, disappointed in you personally, JT. I spent the whole week in San Francisco. You never once invited me on your show. It's not like you.
You know, the problem is you're up
It's
on the
crazy,
big stage on Sirius XM.
You know what's amazing, though? I always say it's fun. It's always a fun week to be there.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot better if the Raiders were there. But you know it's fun? You see so many people that you played with, and run into Marcus and Charles and all these great players. But even and one day we had our lineup for like 1 hour. It was like Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, Tony Gonzalez. I mean, every 10, 12 minutes, it's like
the Hall of Fame.
It's unbelievable. And you sit there and you say to yourself, I'm interviewing Barry Sanders. You know what I was asking Barry? First of all, I asked about why did you retire so soon? But there was this rumor he was a big Raider fan. Did you know Barry Sanders?
100%.
And I said to him, when I was first signed with the Raiders in '99, there was some rumor that you were going to come out of retirement. Remember that, JT? I was like, you could get Barry Sanders to be a Raider. He said there was no truth to it. I don't.
What did you think of the presser, and how honored were you? When did you get the call? I asked this to Charles, where this was on your radar that Mark wanted you here.
Yeah, a couple of days ago, and what do you say? First of all, when the owner asks you to do anything, he says, "Hey, you need to show up at a picnic." You say, "I can't make it." Of course, you're gonna make it. But I was flattered to be here. I'm flattered to sit alongside some real dignitaries. And anytime you sit next to Charles, and Jim Plunkett. I'm a big. Even to this day, he's my buddy, but I just have such great respect for his body of work. So it was awesome. And again, I got a chance to talk to Clint Kubiak last week a little bit. I've known his dad a long time. I know his story. He was in Minnesota, he's in New Orleans, he's in San Francisco. He's done it the right way, and I just think his messaging today was really clear. It's about putting in the work every day, earning the right to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. That to me really resonated.
MVP Rich Gannon joins us. You and I have been friends a long time, and we've talked about being in the building and putting the work in. Why is this different? Because some of the other coaches, Antonio Pierce liked the grind, Josh McDaniels loved the grind. Well, why does this fit at the right time in the history of this franchise?
You know, here's the mistake that Raider fans make, that people in this building make, and it's very easy to say we just hired Pete Carroll and we're going to be okay. We just hired this. We hired Clint Kubiak. It's not. There's only one. He's only one person. He can only do so much. John Spytek can only do so much. Every part of this building has to change. If you continue to do it the way you're doing it, and you think that you're on the cutting edge, you're not. Like if you look at the weight room, if you look at the training room, look at the equipment room, look where every area of the building has to improve. We have to be competitive. When I think we talk about the end of the season. All 32 teams right now are starting to go. Whether you just won a Super Bowl, whether you finish dead last in your division, doesn't matter. Everyone's looking for a way to improve. You do self-scout, you do scheme evaluation, staff evaluation, personnel evaluation. Like, how can we get better? And I think you bring in a coach like Clint Kubiak. What did he say? I want to get to the tape. I want to study our personnel. I want to look at the schemes. I want to see where we can get better. I think there's a lot of really good young players here. I mean, you look at Brock Bowers, and watching him walk around the building today, and
how special is he? How special
he's a special player. Ashton Genty's I'll tell you, he's going to be a really good back. You put a good offensive line in front of him, it's going to look a lot different next year. But there's pieces in place. But what we have to do is we have to get somebody in every room, the defensive line room, the offensive line room, defensive, that's not going to tolerate anything less than that professionalism. JT, you know how I was. I didn't tolerate it. Like I just, at some point in my career, I came to the point that I don't care if I offend somebody. If it isn't right, I'm going to stop practice and we're going to do it the right way. One person can't do it. I was blessed to have a lot of great teammates, but it takes that type of personality, that type of demeanor, that type of attitude, that type of passion, and that type of confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to get criticized, but I'm going to speak my mind.
But why did John Gruden allow that? Well, John Gruden was a young coach his first time through. Why did he allow that, knowing that you could go in there and talk to players that way?
Because I think he felt like it was good for our football team. It was needed. I tell the story. When I got here in '99, this was a very bad building to be a part of. Yeah. And by the time I left in 2004, it was a very different building. It was a good building. I look at, we started, what happened was, here's a great story. I don't think I've ever mentioned this, but when I got here in '99, John said to me, he said, and I'll be tight. John said to me, there's a lot of guys that are in this building that like the profession, like the money, but don't like football. Because we're going to get rid of them. Because I can't get rid of them all at once. I got Mr. Davis. It's going to take some time. We started to bring in, Rod Woodson. We started bringing John Perella, Trace Armstrong, and Jerry Rice. And now all of a sudden, our building and our room started to look a lot different. And that takes some time, but it takes somebody that comes in that recognizes, who are the right people, who are the right Raiders that are going to stand, that are going to represent the organization every day.
Last one, Rich. You feel like you have a voice here. That's what I love about today. I've been trying to tell our audience and everyone listening globally, Mark didn't have to do this today, because some other coaches would have said, no, the past is the past. We embrace it. To have you guys here today, I think was a big takeaway to let Clint Kubiak, his wife, and family know that you're a part of a family.
We want to see him succeed, right? We want to see this organization succeed. And I think when you look up there at Mike Haynes and you look at Howie Long and Marcus Allen and Jim Plunkett and Charles Woodson, they represent, so all the greatness of the Raiders. And, it was so much fun today sitting at the table and listening to those guys talk. Like Marcus tells stories about Matuzak or like Lyle Alzate. I mean, it was honestly, JT, to be a fly on the wall and sitting around listening to those guys, it was awesome.
You're not a fly on the wall. You're the former MVP.
The best, brother.
You're the best. Thank you too, Rich. Thanks a lot. Rich Gannon putting his headsets down lightly like a radio professional. Thank you, buddy. Take care. How good is that to start off the show? Really appreciate that. The great Rich Gannon. We opened up with Charles Woodson. If you haven't heard that yet on the radio, this is why you become a bricklayer. This is why you subscribe for free. And you go to YouTube and you're here with me. So you have the opportunity to do this as we're building out our new social media and we're doing all this. And People ask me, people want my takeaway, and I appreciate the people who are kind enough to listen to what we said. And I guess we lost the feed during Rich Gannon. So, that if you were here there, are we back, Clay? You can get in my ear and let me know if we're back. And they said we lost our feed, but we didn't lose it on YouTube, which is why I love my YouTube channel, because we lost the radio feed, but I guess no one's aware of. But we're here on YouTube. So let me take a break and we will get back and we'll get connected. And when we come back, we'll have more guests live from Raiders headquarters. JT, this is Raider Nation Radio. Hold on a second.
So secure. Not sure. You still need over there?
I don't know. I don't know how we lose our feed. That's no one's fault. It just
No.
went.
I'll have to check and see how good that was.
Are we back or no?
No, I don't hear anything about
Okay, we don't hear anything. So we're trying to get Q. Can you text Q to come to the set?
I texted you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. I'm trying to hit connect here again. How about now? It says we're connected. I hit connect again. How about this, Clay? Okay. 3, 2, and 1. You don't hear us? We're having some technical issues with the radio station, not with the YouTube, so hang with us. Okay. We lost our feed, so we're trying to figure it out. Yeah. Always something, right? Always something.
Do you think you have a block that you would need me?
I do. I just don't know if they have another alumni for me quick. So give me a minute. I'm just trying to get reconnected. I'll text you. Appreciate that.
Terry got me an autograph rep for the 90.
Yeah.
There's a translate.
Where's your refrigerator? I know this Scott actually making us do an action thing. Just walk.
Power. Power got turned off.
Okay.
I don't know where the
Yeah.
source is. The power got turned off. That's exactly why.
Okay. Do I need to hit connect again, or is
I
it?
don't know where.
Okay, let me see.
No, it's the power. The power's still not off. I don't know why.
Check. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Yeah, all the power's off.
Okay. Cranked up.
Yeah. Yeah, all the power's disconnected.
Okay.
So it's something in here.
Oh, wonderful.
It's not here. All the powers.
The power's off, Will. Someone turn the power off. They got the screen. All the power's off, please.
You know what? I have my little lights. Where you can still record.
Our equipment here?
It's no, it's off.
Yeah, there's no power. We have stuff running
Oh, and that's what happened.
off our cord over here.
Yeah, we need to plug that back in.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Which one? The closest plug is gonna be on the wall over there.
Yeah, right, plug it.
You go.
So
This will be used.
just need to plug it back into that wall over there. That was the main source right there.
Okay. Can I help with that? We gotta get back on the radio pretty quickly.
I'm gonna record on this audio.
Yeah, and the problem is it's gonna take a minute for that to boot up. Yep. See, now they're back on. Now you're back on.
JT, we can.
Yeah, I think you appreciate you having that on video.
Yep.
All right, this is important because hopefully I can get him and you can get him. We can knock out the coach right now.
I gotta knock out some stuff over here, but
Okay.
they're all It's all jacked up with the.
Okay, so let's see. I'll tell Clay to stay on hold here.
Yeah, this has got to get built up. Moved
All
up.
right, so we're gonna.
The internet that they ran for us doesn't work, so we're using mine. That's what happened.
Yeah, KT.
Yeah, they're rebooting right now. They unplugged the power, which is.
Okay.
But Q's here. He says it's going to reboot. It's going to take a second. So stay on hold with me and let me know when we're back up.
Okay, we're on. We're back up.
We're back on.
Yeah. I was
Okay. Yep. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
You're not on here though.
Okay. Well, Q says we're not back on because we're not connected. So it's waiting for this. So I go, just stay with me and just keep running spots.
Okay, sounds good.
No internet feed yet, but as soon as.
No, we're getting up. It's going to be a second. And you'll have that going in case we get coach and we have to do them. Yep.
Worst case scenario.
I'm running with audio on this so I can capture the audio here and go with it.
This will be. It's tiny and mighty, so it'll
Yeah,
be pretty.
good.
So it's gonna be well. Radio 9.
All right, Q, wait now.
Back up.
No, I guess yeah.
Why can't this one squares?
Stop.
Yeah, let's appreciate you being on.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
They just did that.
Oh my God.
Squares.
All right, Clay, we're just waiting on the Wi-Fi to kick in.
Okay.
Towers just changed.
Just keep pounding spots.
Jack.
Yeah. Okay.
Connects to. It says call setup. See, not connect. Disconnect.
Hold on, getting close.
Is it on his end now?
Clay, is it on your end now?
Call set didn't say.
I don't hear anything.
You don't
Yeah,
hear it?
like connected yet. It
Okay.
says call setup.
Okay,
It says call setup. Something's still not right.
Okay, we're trying again. Hold on.
Cops.com/rares. It's clear.
Okay, we're online.
Okay, now we are. Now we're good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Clay, talk to me.
Okay.
You got it. Yep, I do. We're good. Thanks, Q. Wow. Okay. Turning off the power. That's a new one.
Ready for anything.
Yeah, thank you. Will, we're good. Good. Yeah. Yeah. And then give me right here.
No.
Just JT?
Yeah. I'll just over here.
Okay.
All right. We are back. We are back live on Raider Nation Radio, waiting on head coach Clint Kubiak, who will join us here momentarily as we get rolling, live from the Intermountain Health Performance Center. And what a good start to the show. Rich Gannon and Charles Woodson. If you're watching, if you want to watch right now, you can watch this interview coming up with the head coach right on my YouTube feed at JT the Brick. We'll have the coach here in a matter of minutes as we're next up, as he's sitting down with his partner, Kevin Bollinger from Fox 5. So the coach will join us here momentarily. We'll have him here for a few minutes. And a long day today, man. After traveling all day yesterday to have the opportunity to be back up and running. And now we're running to you live from the Intermountain Health Performance Center. Really excited to talk to this head coach who I haven't met before and to see everything that he has lined up going forward. This is going to be an exciting moment for everyone else out there. And I know we got some callers on hold. Again, I saw Raider Man momentarily. I'll get to him. Everybody who's there, we just lost our feed because someone pulled the power cord. That's unique. We literally, as you see in the movie Spinal Tap, someone took the plug and unplugged it, and Q and I figured it out, and now we're plugged back in. But that's why we always have a backup here, and we're ready to roll here. So I thought the press conference went really well. I thought that Clint Kubiak didn't have to hit it out of the park, and I thought he did a nice job hanging out in his pocket talking about what meant a lot to him, his faith, his family, the history of the Raiders, and everything else he's been able to do. So now we have an opportunity with him to talk about what's going to happen. It's going to be very difficult. You saw a couple of the questions today at the press conference about Mendoza. I'm not going to ask a Mendoza question. We all know that Mendoza is most likely going to be the number one pick, but they're not going to tamper with that and go there. But I want to talk to him about not only his offensive philosophy, but his defensive philosophy as he takes over, as they got to make some big hires coming up here on the defensive side. I talked to Robbie Leonard today, and Robbie Leonard, who I think is going to be a head coach in this league, I hope he's considered as one of the candidates who can potentially be a defensive coordinator, not only for this team, but other teams around the league. He was really excited. Got a chance to see Max. I put out a lot of social media here over the last couple of days about Max Crosby and a lot of the chatter and a lot of the bogus BS that has been running around about Max Crosby. Max Crosby hasn't said anything except positive vibes about the Raiders. And Max Crosby, at this point in time, is trying to make sure that he's at a good spot, and he could have an opportunity here, I think, to continue to work out his injury here in the offseason, and we can go from there. So if you want to get through, you can start dialing now. We'll get you up at 702-365-9200. You like how I'm stalling here for the head coach? A couple of people have asked me, how was the Grayton Casino? It was fantastic. We had a really good time. I was up there with Bill Romanowski, had a tremendous time with him, along with Charles Haley, Marcus Allen, and Rod Woodson's turning out to be a really good confidant right now. He's just a great guy to get to know and have the philosophy going forward about what the Raiders should do. So the head coach is coming to us right now. We're going to welcome in Clint Kubiak. We're going to talk to him coming up here momentarily, and I'm really excited to have the first opportunity on the radio to talk to the head coach exclusively. This is a big deal for us on the flagship Raider Nation Radio, and well, let's all welcome him and be excited about the opportunity he has going forward, and it's going to be a lot of fun here. All the other legends who are here, including Howie Long, he's scheduled to join us, and then we're going to try to put on some of the insiders that we always have who are really important to us, too, to try to get Paul Gutierrez, Vinny Bonsignor. They're all in the building right now, so excited to have the opportunity to talk to them. So let's welcome in the head coach of the Silver and Black as he joins me here for the first time, Clint Kubiak. And Coach, first off, congratulations on everything today for you and your family. How are you?
Very much. I'm doing great.
Let's begin first with the Super Bowl. We got to start with that. Unbelievable game plan, pulling it off. How great did it feel when the clock was winding down?
Oh, it was special. Really, when Shenna, number 7, our defensive end, took that ball back to the house, you could kind of feel that it was imminent that we were going to get that victory. I'll never forget it. Great night.
This is a day you're never going to forget. First off, when Mark Davis, or you found out from John Spytek that you would have the greatest legends, some of them in Raider history, here at the dais with you. What did that mean to you?
Oh, it was special. And you can just tell that, being on other teams, that the Raiders take care of their former players better than anybody else. But to have them sit up there with me today, just felt really supported and felt, obviously a huge obligation to work hard to make them proud.
Now, I'm a guy who loves to talk about the trees of coaches. Your tree obviously starts with your dad. And I was dying to ask you, what was that like, your dad's relationship with John Elway? You're growing up as a kid, and all those football conversations you heard in your living room, coming home from school and absorbing all that.
Yeah, at the time, you don't realize how fortunate you are to be in that environment and get to go to training camp and be a ball boy. And, I got to go sit in draft meetings when I was in college, and just really fortunate to grow up in that environment. My dad's relationship with John and all of his quarterbacks, was really special. And I just saw at a young age, how much he loved, building those relationships with the guys. So it was easy to try to want to get in that line of work.
It's pretty interesting, 10 years from your dad winning a Super Bowl to you winning a Super Bowl, and everything that happened with your journey and faith along the way.
Yeah, and there's only one way to describe, those last 10 years, and that's just a complete miracle from God, because at that point in my life, I was coaching college football at Kansas, just praying to do a good enough job that asked me to come back the next year. And then, get the chance to work with him in the NFL, and, move around to some teams and gain experience. It's just been a real blessing. I know how fortunate I am just to grow up in a football family, to get to, maybe experience some things as a coach earlier than others might. So I don't take that for granted. And I want to make sure that, that I'm working hard to, make my dad proud, and let the other coaches know that, I'm willing to put in the work.
There was a lot of stops along the way. I just wanted to specify two of them, Minneapolis and the Niners. And what you learned there as you were waiting to eventually become a head coach, those coaches, the people behind the scenes, ownership, what did you learn? And especially New Orleans, those Derek Carr first couple of games when you were exploding. What'd you take from every building?
Yeah, well, Minneapolis worked for Leslie Frazier and Mike Zimmer.
Yeah.
Two completely different defensive head coaches that I just saw both of them lead in their own way and be themselves. And then going to see Kyle Shanahan run a team as an offensive coach, and how he would manage his time with game planning, and all the while, being the head of the franchise. That was a really impactful year, getting to see how, he went about his business, and then going to the Saints. And that was a really special year for me, because we got to work with Carr, who I loved working with.
Yeah.
And seeing him have some success early, and then we had a bunch of injuries, and next thing you know, we're playing with a rookie quarterback, and there's a lot of adversity. But through that season, with the young players that got opportunities, that's such a fun part of the job, is seeing those young guys develop.
Coach, I'm going to wait with the number one pick overall out of respect to you. There's a long process. You said you're going to have to look at the tape, but for you to see Bowers and Genty, and to know that the Raiders have explosive receivers. I talked to Jack Besh, good example today. What a player is taken in the second round overall, wants to develop with you. What type of up-tempo do you want to have? The ability to be explosive, but obviously be committed to running the football.
Yeah, well, to me, there's got to be you got to be able to attack a defense in so many ways. You got to have up tempo in your game plan. You got to be able to run the ball versus an 8-man front when everyone knows you're running it. You have to be able to win more than one way. You got to be able to throw it 50 times. You got to be able to score 50, or you got to be able to win scoring 6.
Right.
You just go into every game, and it never plays out the way you think it's going to. But if you can get the right, humans in the building, right personnel that you want to go to war with, and you can find a lot of different ways to win.
What do you love about the grind, about getting in early? You said you saw Max Crosby before anyone. What is the grind that your dad taught you and you learned about that you're going to bring to this culture?
Yeah, I think it's whether you're coaching football, or you're a teacher, or you're an astronaut or a scientist. If you really love what you're doing, you want to spend time improving at it and getting better. So that's what this job is to me, is just a passion of the game and developing the players, and you have a responsibility to help them be successful. So there's only so many hours in the day, so you better use up every one of them to help those guys get what they want.
Coach, last one, if I could help in any way, because your kids are coming here, they're going to go to school, whatever you're going to do in the community, I'd like to help along the way. And we welcome your family, because it feels like this is now a stop for you where your family can now relax, not move, and build a life here. How excited are you for that?
Yeah, that is exciting, but we all know in the NFL there is nothing's forever. So we got to earn it year by year.
Congratulations on this great day, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Clint Kubiak, fantastic as we're able to talk to him on the flagship of the Silver and Black. Thanks to Will Kiss and the entire team for making that happen. How about that? How about that? So that's Clint Kubiak. If you want to see where we are, we're not in the hallway. We are here at Raiders on the field house, right here at the field house. And we're here right now kicking it off here on Raider Nation Radio. I hope you enjoyed that interview. When you get an interview with someone you're going to work with for the first time, and you want to make sure that he feels comfortable there, this is the whole thing. The one question I regret not asking, because he had to go, is the Raider Nation and what the fan base means to him. But he mentioned that in the press conference. So that was pretty cool. Our first conversation with Clint Kubiak. We hope to get a lot more with him. And you can find that interview at Raiders.com. We'll have it at LV Sports Network. And again, he's a humbling guy overall. I think a very humbling guy who, he cares about his family and his faith. And if you've been following me for 30 minutes or 30 years, and you know me, which I know a lot of people do know me, you know, that's what I care about. I care about number one, more than radio, more than anything, my family. And I also care about my faith. And when you see someone like him, he is a really big guy when it comes to his faith. And I don't care if it's Tim Tebow, if it's Derek Carr, if it's Clint Kubiak. I love when these coaches and individuals talk about their faith, because we're only on this earth a short period of time, and you better be talking about it. And he seems to be highly inspiring. So for him, he's got some big decisions coming up here in regards to building out a staff and what he's going to do in the future. But I think overall it was nice to get him here. So we are back up and running live from the Intermountain Health Performance Center, live on Raider Nation Radio, live on LV Sports Network. You can catch this live on my YouTube channel at JT the Brick. If you missed our Charles Woodson conversation, we'll get to that. And then we're going to have a couple of the insiders join us coming up here in a little bit. Clay Baker's running the show back at our headquarters at Lotus. So I'm going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll have more guests for you. I want to thank all of our proud partners, including PTs. My first interview with Clint Kubiak is brought to you by Golden Entertainment, proud partner of the show. Over 70 taverns here. PTs fuels the monologue, and PTs fuels our new head coach, Clint Kubiak. We'll be back live on Raider Nation Radio.
You see anything great?
Oh yeah, he had some really good sauce.
Not immediate, but just missing it. I'm gonna take stuff, a bunch of stuff from today. Take clips of everything. Please. I told Danielle yesterday, but I don't know.
I can always just tell me.
That's all. Sure. Okay.
I got an email the other day on John and something like she said, I didn't even know they're done one, didn't need one. You know, it's really key by we legalized a bunch of stuff for it. She's going to be able to take one for all things. It's the same like it's a special. So we get the recovery school, their institution to college. It's pretty cool. So we did the flick reading now. Even on 58 on difference. Before he's big, and now you go to 11 hops. If you have like the game months, probably it's interruption. If you can, I start thinking us with the head. If you're not you can count on considering the thoughts of the but signature slightly weight for the player, the different story, and speaking. It's the and the communication. Or by way.
How we doing, bricklayers? You got to love the Kubiak interview. That was fun. Keep here and subscribe and hit like. All right, we're going to get Kirk Morrison here. Okay. Amazing that they unplugged the power. Can you believe that? They actually, like Spinal Tap, unplugged it. Yep. Good.
What up?
You?
So I feel like you have more access with this guy than anybody. I mean, yeah, well, that's my point. I mean, like, you know, you're the most recognizable guy when he walks in the building, which is great.
That's my guy.
It is your guy. All right, here we go. I think they are. Appreciate it. Yeah. You too? Your level's good?
Let me get a little more me.
Little more you.
Yeah.
How about in the check? Go.
1, 2, 1, 2. No, it's other one.
She's full. Here.
Okay.
No, let me get. Oh, there you go. There we go.
Perfect.
Perfect. There we go. Perfect. Okay.
Thank you. Perfect segue by Clay Baker to get Kirk Morrison on, former linebacker and analyst for the Raiders. I was just telling you, and this is a compliment as always. You know this coach as good as anybody. He's been on your radar for a while. You've had several interviews. What was it like today to watch him there at HQ being introduced?
Yeah, I mean, once I knew that he was on the Raiders' radar a while back, it was kind of like for me focusing in on who I thought was my favorite candidate of them all that was available. And with each passing day, you saw the other possible candidates getting picked off, right? Where there was Jesse Minter, and Stefanski's gone, and Robert Saleh. I mean, you could just go down the list of names. And it was about the divisional round where I kind of realized, like, this could be Clint's job. I mean, I was always thinking from the beginning, offensive-minded head coach.
Absolutely.
Offensive-minded head coach. You know why? Because if you look at the coaching hires of 2026, all 10 coaching hires went opposite what go down the list. Everyone went complete opposite. In Arizona, they went from Jonathan Gannon to Mike LaFleur.
Right.
Raiders went from Pete Carroll to Clint Kubiak. You can go into Tennessee. They went from Brian Callahan, offense, Robert Saleh, defense. Okay. I throw it with New York Giants. They go from Brian Daboll, offense, and people forget that John Harbaugh's background, not just special teams, it was defense. So they went different.
I think what's interesting here, and I want you to walk me through because you know how these facilities work.
Right.
We just had a coach from Seattle who brought a lot of back office people from Seattle, from Seattle who unfortunately let go.
Right.
Now we're going back to pick at Seattle and bring in more people. I would assume that's where Clint Kubiak's going to get a lot of the coaches and people he's comfortable with.
Well, I think it won't be that way.
Okay.
It won't be that way.
What do you expect?
I wish I had more questions out there at the press conference. I had more questions, but I didn't want to steal the show. You know what I mean? Because I can finally get Clint on record.
Right.
We've had a lot of conversations off record that I wanted to bring to now that I can ask him because he's the new Raiders head coach. But one of the things that people don't realize is that he hasn't spent more than 3 seasons in one place.
Yeah.
He hasn't spent more than 3 seasons in one place. Now we're associating him with the offensive coordinating job with the Seattle Seahawks, which is fine, which he did a great job. He's Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator. But the year previous to that, he was the offensive coordinator in New Orleans. And the year previous to that, he was the offensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers. And the year previous to that, he was in Minnesota. Okay? Previous to that, he was back in Denver. So think about, he was only in Seattle since the beginning of this offseason. He's only the first year. It's not like he's been there with Mike McDaniel both years.
Absolutely.
Ryan Grubb was their offensive coordinator in year 1. So I say that as he's going to cast a wide net on what his staff is going to look like. Yeah, you've been in the building with Seattle for a calendar year, but I think just his ability and the other opportunities that he's had over the last 10, 12 years of his coaching career, he's going to cast a wide net. I don't think it's going to be as different. It's going to be much different as it was with Pete.
Kirk Morrison joins us. I picked something apart there when he said that he's never called plays by himself.
Yes.
Now, what does that mean? Because when he was with Kyle, and Kyle was
Right.
calling the plays. What was his exact role at that time as he prepared to become an offensive coordinator in Seattle and now a head coach?
So I talked to Christian McCaffrey at the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
And so he's got a lot of input on the plays that go in.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say, well, he's the head coach calls plays, yes, but the offensive coordinator title is the guy who runs the meetings. Okay, he's going to run the offensive meeting. The head coach doesn't come in there and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. No, the offensive coordinator does that. I learned that because my college quarterback was Kevin O'Connell,
right,
who was the offensive coordinator with Sean McVay in Los Angeles. And I asked him, I said, what do you do? If Sean calls the plays, what do you do? It's like, Kirk, I run the meetings. Like when they break up offense, defense goes over there with Raheem Morris and offense comes over here with me, and we go into our room and I go on the board and say, these are our objectives for the week. This is what we're going after. This is why we're going to run these plays and these plays. And then collectively as a group, they come together. That's what he was saying is more, it's a collective group when it comes to play calling. Like everybody's going to have a say in what's your 5 top pass plays this week. What's your 5 best run plays this week? And they'll figure out how to come together on that call sheet. But when he makes that call, what he said, flip card 13, that's coming from coach. And coach is going to put it to the offensive coordinator who's going to be in the ear of the quarterback.
Kirk Morrison's our guest. So as a defender and now an analyst, give me your perfect scenario on what happens next. Because I talked to Robbie Leonard for about a half hour today.
Yeah.
I believe, this is me, he's going to be a head coach
in
a cycle somewhere down the road, but probably interview for DC to stay in the building. There are some coaches here that want to stay in the building, like there were players at that press conference that want to stay in the building. It's not that easy. What would you do to rebuild this defensive coaching staff?
I think it comes down to who's going to be the coordinator.
Right.
And you mentioned Robbie Leonard, who's an opportunity guy who knows Mike McDonald well. They were together in Baltimore. So if the big thing about this whole coaching thing, this whole coaching carousel, it's a big game of connect the dots. You have to connect the dots. Well, also Joe Woods and Clint Kubiak worked together on the same staff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Joe Woods is the former defensive coordinator in this league with Kevin Stefanski.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Clint Kubiak's best friend is.
Absolutely.
It's Kevin Stefanski. He was right underneath when Kevin was the offensive coordinator in Minnesota, who was the quarterback's coach with Kirk Cousins. It was Clint Kubiak. See, all this stuff comes together. So that's why he said Clint said during the press conference, he's already started the process. And that's why I think there may be a fear of, oh, here we go, we're going to be Seattle again. Like, no. He's going to cast a wide net because he's been around so many defensive and offensive people. Again, he got started with Mike Zimmer as his head coach / D coordinator. There's a lot that goes into it that I'm excited about.
Out of all due respect to Derek Carr, because a lot of fans who are watching and listening to us are Carr guys.
Correct.
I believe Cousins is the perfect fit as the bridge. That's just my opinion. The first ever $84 million guaranteed.
Right.
Like every quarterback in their backyard should have a statue of Kirk Cousins because they're getting guaranteed money now because of him, not Deshaun Watson, because of him. Wouldn't that be the type of player that would be humble enough not to start week 1 if Mendoza's here and be that guy in the meeting room? If not, then what do? Who do you bring in to be that quarterback, assuming Gino isn't here? And I don't want to assume that because Gino and John Spytek are going to figure it out. But walk me through what a quarterback room could look like.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing to talk about this offseason because the quarterback already knows I'm on borrowed time.
Absolutely.
So what quarterback kind of wants to go into that? They still have an ego.
Right.
You know, you're telling the guy, hey, I want you to come in and be a mentor because we're going to take you out at some point. Well, what if you're playing at a high level? You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that? The people in Minnesota are kicking themselves right now because of what happened with Sam Darnold, who was in the building, and you're all in on this rookie quarterback or now a guy going in the second year, and that team took a setback. So that's the reality that we're in right now. What could it be? Derek Carr? Could it be Kirk Cousins? Who's another quarterback out there that would be has an opportunity to come in and be the bridge? You know, is it Jameis Winston? Is it Jacoby Brissett? Like there's other guys out there who can come in and be efficient, but they have to understand and realize you are on borrowed time. The future, what we think is going to be a guy who they're bringing in with the first overall pick.
Let's spend the last minute or two about your dad.
Sure.
So, Oakland guy,
Yeah.
we're both working our tail off on Radio Row.
Correct.
I saw you put out the tweet. You were going to spend some time with your dad
I did.
before you came back down here. Tell
Yeah.
me what that was like.
It was great. I always, I talk to my dad, once a week, and obviously he's staying in tune with the Raiders coaching search.
Yeah.
So, he's telling me this and telling me that. And, what are we doing? What are we doing? I know you know something. And I said, I know something, but I can't say anything until it's official. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
As a team employee, even if I do know, I can't say anything publicly till it's released. And so we just had conversations about that. But Saturday, I had dedicated Super Bowl Saturday to go hang out with my dad and, go find my mom, go hang out with her. And so when I called my dad, when I was available, I said, hey, Dad, I was coming to see you. He said, you know where I'm at? I said, where you at? He said, I'm at bingo. So, yeah, so you're at bingo. All right, I'm coming. So he's over at the San Pablo Senior Center. And he said, are you coming for real? I said, yeah, I'm on the way. I wouldn't lie to you, Dad. I'm coming. He said, all right, what time are you going to be here? So I gave him a time. And they literally had a parking spot waiting on me.
Unbelievable.
I walk in and it was cheers. I signed autographs for 45 minutes, man. And my dad was the proudest I had seen him in a very long time growing up. And then I commenced to playing bingo.
And you played bingo.
I played bingo, man. So, that's how I spent my Saturday. And it was a memorable time because it was so many people who were excited. Because we think about the fans who go to the Super Bowl,
Right.
or they're there for the experience. I was just around amongst senior citizen folks who would come out to play bingo and have a good time. And they met a guy who used to play in the NFL.
Right.
His dad plays bingo amongst them.
I thought, and you're an East Bay guy,
Yeah.
but you did a lot of work in San Francisco throughout your career.
Uh-huh.
I thought San Francisco did a great job. I loved it because of the weather.
Yeah.
I kept telling everybody, if it was 48 degrees and misty and foggy, forget it. I would have lost out on all my lunches at the
Right.
wharf, all my views and everything I did. But the fact that the weather clicked, it made it incredible.
It was an unbelievable. I thought just the Bay Area as a whole, they did a great job. 3 major airports: San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose.
I have to tell you,
Sacramento. Everybody.
I flew out of Santa Rosa.
Oh, Santa Rosa.
I've never flown that airport before. It was like I was walking in my backyard through a tent.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had an airport.
They have an airport.
I flew Alaska Airlines, Rod Woodson and I, after the weekend. We were sitting there on a smaller plane going,
correct.
This is the airport of the future if you're up in wine country.
If you're up in wine, no, that is the flight. And those flights are specifically for wine country. So those are specifically for wine country. You have that one. There's also one that goes to Santa Barbara too. So they have these little small commuter planes that are always being used. I was just more excited because not a person that I talked to said they didn't have a good time in San Francisco. I think they were quite surprised.
Yeah, but the clickbait bothered me. Some of the radicals who said I saw a syringe on the ground, or the city looked great.
Right, it's always going to be like that. They're going to say the same thing about Los Angeles. They say the same thing about every Super Bowl city. Everybody's never going to be happy. It's why are we doing this? But think about it. That was our first outdoor Super Bowl in a very long time since the Miami one. Right. Everything else has been indoors. So to see the type of day that we had and the flyover, it's one thing when we're playing these domes. Right. Those flyovers go over a dome. We don't see it. It doesn't matter. They can show the video of it. But to see the flyover, the Star Spangled Banner, national anthem, it was a great time, man. Great time.
You're a great time, man. You've been busy. You get any downtime? I'm dying to get a little bit of downtime. No. We haven't stopped since the end of July, not August, when we're at camp together. And when we were at camp together,
correct,
we kind of realized this wasn't going to be great with the O-line. We didn't think it'd be great.
Yeah.
We're going to go into camp with a new O-line and some excitement.
Well, it starts in 11 days.
Yeah.
We want to go to the combine.
There you go.
And we start looking at some of the new Raiders, right? We get a chance to see some new Raiders.
Thank you, my friend. Always. You know how to take that headset off. You're a Raider guy. When we come back, we'll give you hour number 2, our conversation with Charles Woodson. Clay's back there. We're all set up here. Live from Raiders headquarters. Brought to you by the DeCastro Verde Law Group. The Brothers Win, brotherswin.com. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Walk out here. Thank you, my friend. That was good.
Always, man.
Yeah, I think this is stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Come and put t-shirt and say, I can wear it to the time.
Let's get this mic going. Yeah, here we go. Hey, no one bitch about San Francisco. San Francisco was fantastic. All these radical political lunatics that are saying, oh, San Francisco, they're full of shit. San Francisco was fantastic. It was fantastic. I just love how people who don't go to the Super Bowl. And let's get this in the chat. My son's here. Let's give something away about Bad Bunny. Who liked the Bad Bunny? Raise your hand and beep your horn if you love Bad Bunny. Now, unfortunately, I don't speak Spanish, but if I did, maybe I would have known the words and enjoyed it more. But I don't trash on music. I love music. All right, Clay, we have the Woodson to replay. Okay. I got Paul coming up here. Okay. I think we sound pretty good today. Everybody like the levels. Everybody like everything they're hearing. Are we good? Good day today. I think it's great, man. Something different.
Yes.
Something different. Doesn't have to be loud and explosive. It's good. Yeah. All right, JT, back with you. It's hour number 2 on the flagship. Raider Nation Radio. We had Clint Kubiak, Charles Woodson, you'll hear coming up in a little bit, Rich Gannon, Kirk Morrison. I mean, pretty good stuff here. And we're excited to talk to you. So Eric Allen will be joining us at some point this hour. So we're excited about that. Paul Gutierrez is going to join us in a few minutes, and we're going to have him on, and that'll be good. As a matter of fact, Eric Allen's texting me right now. So let me text him back. Need you in 20. That's good. Hope everybody had a good Super Bowl. We were traveling yesterday. Vince Sapienza jumped in for me, and Vince was fantastic as always. Harry Ruiz right now is doing a one-on-one with Clint Kubiak. Chris Matthews from 8 News Now is here. So there's a lot of good individuals who are here, and Paul Gutierrez is going to join us here momentarily from Raiders.com, and we're looking forward to talking to him, as this is an exciting time now. No matter how long you've been with the Raiders, it just feels a little bit different today. And as I bring in Paul Gutierrez from Raiders.com, Paul, you've been covering a lot of press conferences. Why is this one just a little bit different today? It had alumni, it had Mark Davis, but Mark was sitting in the back row. He wasn't sitting at the dais.
Yeah, and that was the interesting thing to me is you had Hall of Famers, you had Super Bowl MVPs, you had league MVPs. All 6 of those gentlemen that were up there represented the last 2 Raider teams to participate in a Super Bowl. And that right there shows you where the expectation level is. And so you got that. You got a first-time GM in his second year, a first-time head coach. It just feels like a fresh start. And I know we've said this before. Last year with Pete Carroll, this feels different. Before that, Antonio Pierce, this feels different. This feels fresh, if that's the best way to put it for me.
That's the way I look at it. It's completely different than what I thought it would be. And I know you're working on something. I want to tease it. You were sitting down with Howie and Marcus, and those are kind of your heroes as you came in. How cool was that to see them completely engaged on being here and representing the alumni?
Yeah, 13-year-old me was screaming in my head, JT, because that was my team, the 83 Raiders. And I'm sitting there not only with Howie and Marcus, but Jim Plunkett as well. And to talk to them about what their vision was, what they saw, what the standard is. They're all excited. And you've talked to those guys over the years as well. And what they like, again, is just the freshness of this. Not necessarily it feels different, but it just feels fresh. And if everybody is on the same page and everybody is pulling in the same direction, that's different from the past couple of years also.
Paul Gutierrez is our guest. As you know, I've always said I'm a fan behind the microphone. I'm blessed to have these opportunities that we both have. I really think this is a defining moment for the fan base. It's been really loud. It's been a little bit cliquey with some fans who never gave the coaches a chance. For whatever reason, 73 years old. Oh, he was the head coach. He was with the Patriots. There's been a lot of that. Then I felt like the fans were aligned behind Antonio Pierce because they loved the straight out of Compton. They loved his energy. Why is this different? I think this is the easiest opportunity since the first Gruden hire, not the second, because Gruden the second time around was different. But this feels like the first Gruden hire with someone unproven as a head coach that the fans should support.
Not only that, but again, we keep going back to the same theme here, or at least I do, the freshness of it all. And having the new coach, having close to $100 million in cap space, having the number 1 overall draft pick, having an offensive mind behind, at the steering wheel. All of those things together. And really, if you look back, after John Gruden 1.0, you had Lane Kiffin with Jamarcus Russell, and there was a similar vibe there. Al Davis was still running things. This, again, I go back to what Marcus Allen was telling me, in that not only they're on the same page, but this organization needs continuity, and they all have to be pulling in the same direction. And if you start having that continuity, you have somebody who's fresh, who's new, and you start having some success. That was interesting. When Clint Kubiak came walking in the building, and you were there, the first thing he said to the masses, 3 stories of employees looking at him and clapping, was a lot of hard work ahead. I'm looking forward to getting going. I'll see you there. No muss, no fuss, not a lot of words. He's all about the work.
That's a new thing now, too. That's something that every team now does, has that money shot with the coach walking in. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, because we all had an understanding it was going to be Kubiak, and then everyone in the national media wanted to break it first. I had it first. No, you didn't have it first. We knew this for a month. But everybody, they're in the business of doing that. Now it's the Mendoza world that we're living in. Do you feel that that's an uncomfortable question to ask inside the building when we all know outside the building that's what the fans want?
Yes and no, because again, as you and I, and I've only been here less than a year now as part of the organization, there's privileged information, right? So like you said, we've known from day one that Clint Kubiak was the target.
Mhm.
Whether that was going to happen or not, we didn't know, but we couldn't really say about that or dive into it. It would seem to me that Fernando Mendoza is the target. There's a lot of people I talked to on Radio Row last week. Donovan McNabb, I think I told you this at the time. He was advocating trading it and getting more pieces around him because you're not just one player away. But talking with Marcus Allen and Howie Long, they're both of the mind, okay, if you're going to do that, then in free agency, you have to attack the offensive line. You have to attack the defensive line. And you go from there because what's the point of getting the quarterback at number one if he's just going to get beat up behind there like we saw last year?
But as a longtime journalist, now the journalistic integrity on how this Max story is being covered is really troublesome to me.
Yeah.
Because he's going on the Let's Go podcast, which is a big podcast, and saying, no, I haven't spoke to anybody.
Right.
And then you're seeing former insiders saying, no, he talked to Brady and he wants out. And then other people are saying he probably wants out. It's really easy to say eventually he might not be here.
Sure.
I don't think it's going to happen. But how are you handling that story?
Yeah, it's one of those things where in you hear things, you see things. Any of my interactions with Max have been professional and polite. I haven't talked to him since this whole thing started. But at the end of the day, it would seem to me that it would be real easy for him to come out and just say, you know what, squash all that. I want to be here. And if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. But it's almost like if you don't address it, then it becomes more of a story. But to his credit, he's like, look, no matter what I say, people are going to twist it and take it out. So it's unfortunate that you're here. But again, he is now that you have the coach, now you got the number one pick. Now you got the Max Crosby situation. There's always going to be something exciting to cover with this team.
One more on that one. Do you think this type of coach helps Max compared to a defensive head coach like a Jesse Minter or John Harbaugh? Because it's different. He's going to be the face of the franchise still. Mendoza's going to come in. He'll be a different type of face of the franchise. I don't want to get involved with the gossip of Max Crosby, but I think today the coach with all those legends showed Max that this is his home and a place for him to be.
Not only that, but you talk to Howie Long and he says, look, he's the best player on the team. So from there, you just try to figure it out and you go forward from there. Does he want to be here? Great. Does he not want to be here? Okay. Well, if he doesn't want to be here, then you then can get more assets to continue to, again, have that fresh start. He is definitely the best player on the team. There's no doubt about that. But everybody, again, has to be on the same page going forward.
Thank you, Paul. Busy day. What's coming out with that? What do you have lined up? Multiple things?
Yeah, well, my big column today, I haven't been able to write much throughout this whole process, but I'm looking forward to diving into my conversations with Howie, with Marcus, with Jim, to get their take on what the most recent Raiders Super Bowl winning team members think about this hire and where this organization needs to go going forward.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you. Paul Gutierrez from Raiders.com. Check out all of his work coming up here. And we're going to have Amber jump in. So you know how to put those things down beautifully, which he's really good because he's now a broadcast professional on top of a great journalist. So Amber Theo Harris is going to join us in a few moments. We'll have her here and we'll continue on with this conversation. And what today is all about, thank you, Paul. Today's all about the opportunity to have some access to some former legends, to coach, and to talk to people about what this new look feels and looks like for the head coach, Clint Kubiak. For me, what jumps in at me is the fact that he's a young dad. So he's got a couple of kids here. I don't know the exact makeup exactly of his entire family here. But as I look at this overall, it seems like that's a really important deal for him going forward. Is imagine if you lived in that many places for that many years. When I met my wife and we moved to the Bay Area before my son was born, and then we moved back to Vegas, and then we moved to LA and working for the Raiders the whole time, it was a big deal, not compared to what these people do now. I mean, this is really his 6th or 7th city in 8 years. That is very unique, even for coaches. Very unique in regards to coaches and what coaches are dealing with. So I think he's in a really unique time now in a very specific situation and what he's doing going forward. And I think the family aspect of this thing is really unique as we welcome in Amber Theo Harris. Now, did they build in some YouTube commercials like they should for you, or did you just go on a marathon?
We just went on a marathon because it's an exciting day. I mean, why would we want to break? We just had Howie Long and Charles Woodson and Clint Kubiak and John Spike. I mean, when they're bringing those kind of guests up, You're a veteran. You don't go to break. The fans just want to stay with you.
So what was your big takeaway with all this from the day you got the call? Hey, we got to get you from Super Bowl. We got to get you down here. I can imagine. And you have I know we both have families, but this gets your adrenaline going. So you knew you got the call. You were going to anchor this today, and you knew the guest list because we couldn't go out and say that all those legends are coming. We couldn't break that. Then when you saw them in the building, what was it like?
Well, I think it just is always a reminder of the legacy of the Raiders and how that's what we're trying to get back to, because the heyday of this team, and we're reminded of, the Charles Woodsons and the Howie Longs and seeing all those gold jackets, right? That's the goal. I've always said the NFL is better when the Raiders are good and when the Raiders are competitive in winning. And what I took away is that Clint Kubiak is all business. Right. I mean, this is a guy that's getting ready to go back and participate in a parade of which he just won the Super Bowl.
I know.
His offense performed amazingly. I mean, the run game alone gives you something to be excited about here with the Raiders. But I just can't even see him being excited on that float. I feel like he's going to be running up, drawing up plays he mentioned Ashton Genty and he mentioned Brock Bowers. Another interesting thing that I took away was John Spytek, because I did ask him kind of the tough question of, there's two philosophies here. Do you get your quarterback? You have the number one pick. That doesn't happen very often. What was it? 08?
07.
07, the last time the Raiders had it. It doesn't come almost 20 years. And do you feel like you take the quarterback and I really like this philosophy, JT, you have so many holes on this roster. I mean, you have to believe Fernando's the man. You have to believe he is, to get him. If you have any inkling that he might not be or any hesitation, I think you trade the pick, you get a haul. Because think about all the major positions that need to be filled. Offensive lineman, you need a corner, you need a number one receiver, you need linebackers, you need another running back if you want to go with the Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker model, right? So you fill all of these, and then I'm not mad at getting a Mac Jones or getting, I don't know where Daniel Jones is going to be, but he's going to be on the market as far as injuries concerned. Do you do that? And when I said it's not a shoo-in that you guys take Fernando Mendoza at the number one pick, it's not a shoo-in that you make a pick there. And he very firmly said, no, it's not. Yeah. That doesn't mean that's what he's going to do. It just meant he wanted to be clear. There's options.
Well, here's why I want to push back on that. I don't see the flaws. If I saw the flaws, if he didn't play brilliantly after winning the Heisman Trophy, I would agree with you. He loses a playoff game. He throws 2 picks and a pick 6. He doesn't get a read right. That's what's blowing me away. How do you get off that pick because he played so good, is the only undefeated quarterback ever to play that many games with a Heisman, and tell the fan base that we see something else? That's the only pushback I have.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing whatsoever that there's flaws. I'm saying that John Spytek and Clint Kubiak and Mark Davis and Tom Brady have to believe there's no flaws, right? So it doesn't matter what we say. And they're still evaluating. I mean, they're going to do that all the way up to the end. I don't think anybody in this organization knows exactly, yes, we are taking him right at this moment. Because if they did, I think they weren't doing their jobs. They have to continue to get as many resources as possible, to get as much information as possible. This is a huge pick for them. If Fernando Mendoza is somebody they see no flaws in, you have to take him.
Amber, Theo Harris is our guest. So the Max story, I'm not buying into it. I'm just not. I'm not a gossip hound, so I could go out here and tell you I texted Max today or that. No, I don't want to get involved in some of the sewer of the media at times that want to do that. But it really is a story. Enough people are talking about it nationally and they want to get into it. How are you handling that, or what do you see knowing how well you know Max since he's been a Raider?
I think Max is in a tough position, and I'm going to be dead on this. Number one, I want to say I did not really appreciate the report that came out through The Athletic with Diana Rossini. She walked it back when she said that Max Crosby would love to play for Mike Vrabel. She then walked, and it caused a firestorm. She walked it back as he has mentioned in the past that he appreciates a coach like Mike Vrabel. You have to be careful with how you put things out. So I didn't love the way that went out.
Either did I.
And I thought it kind of gave me the ick to see it kind of crawled back. But the retracting it never is as loud as when it goes out. So I had a problem with that, especially with people that had not spoken to Max Crosby at that point. Now, my just opinion, this is not speaking to Max about it.
Yeah.
I think he's in a tough position where he loves this organization. I mean, it is where his heart is. He has it tattooed on his body. He has made it very clear. I mean, he signed an extension. His first choice, I think, my opinion, would be to win as a Raider.
Yeah, same here.
He's also 29 years old, right? So he's also looking at, okay, can we be the Patriots where you turn it around in 1 year? Or the Broncos where you turn it around in 3 years, essentially, or the Seahawks where you turn around in a year or two. Can you do that here? And that's what he has to evaluate, but he doesn't have a say necessarily. He's not a free agent. So the Raiders would have to be willing to trade him.
You made a brilliant point. You just gave 3 examples recently of this happening. The Patriot thing's the big one. I mean, that turned around really quick, but the Bo Nix deal, that turned around much faster after eating all that Russell Wilson money. Remember, if they didn't have that Russell Wilson money and then they got Bo Nix and then spread out that cap space and got a whole bunch of players, they had to take a step back and figure out their plan, and they're in the AFC Championship game.
What do the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Seahawks all have in common? They have a head coach that came in the last 1 to 3 years and had a clear vision, a clear plan, turned over the roster immensely. I mean, Mike Vrabel had 30 new players on that roster.
He did.
And that's what Clint Kubiak is going to try to do here. A clear vision. He has to stick with it. And where does Max fit in? That's actually for the Raiders to decide.
Yeah.
That's for the Raiders to decide. That's actually everybody's saying we haven't talked to Max. Yeah, Max could demand a trade. He could do that if he wanted to. Any player can do that, but he's under contract.
Yeah.
So I feel for any player in that position. I can remember this conversation with Devontae Adams, and he was 30 years old when I had to, he's 32, 33 now. And he said, I really want to win as a Raider. We had to kind of to the side. He's like, this is my hometown team. This is my dream. And I said, but man, I get it. You want to win. And he felt at that point in his career, he could win somewhere else. And look, he goes to the Rams, has a good time. Has a great year with, Matthew Stafford almost makes it to the Super Bowl. Could Max do the same thing? Yes. But do I think Max wants to go? No, I think he wants to stay. His hope would be that he wins here.
Last one, as a working mom, you met Mrs. Kubiak or saw her around. This is a really important moment. They haven't traveled. They've traveled every year.
Yeah.
This is getting wild. I mean, you have kids, I have kids. It's like, wait a second, moving once or twice. Okay. Moving 5, 6, 7 times. How important is it for them to be embedded into this community and having the support of this fan base?
Well, I think they're coming into one hell of a fan base, one heck of a city, right? They're coming into Raider Nation. Nobody is more embracing. You forget, I've been a part of Raider Nation only for 5 years. Before that, I was all 32 teams. Before that, I was the Redskins and the Ravens. So I've seen it all.
Yeah.
This fan base is unbelievable. Even when I was just with NFL Network and I remember covered Thursday Night Football. It was a game at the Coliseum, and you're out there and they're hugging you in the black hole and I just loved the fan base. So I think Tessa Kubiak is going to really be happy here.
Yeah.
And we hope that they're here for 15 years. We hope they have the John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, blueprint where they're here 18 years. But I want to say something about some of these spouses in the league. A lot of my good friends, are married to GMs. They are what make the organization possible, right?
Yeah.
Because if they hold that family together, that allows the GM or the coach or whoever it is to just focus on football. And the jobs those women have is unbelievable. Packing up houses, moving houses, dealing with losses. Do you know how hard that is?
That's brutal.
Right? Getting kids into schools. So hats off to Tessa for doing that for so many years. She seems like an amazing woman.
Hats off to you. So you're heading home. We'll see you.
I'm going to reintroduce myself to my children.
I don't think you're going to get a phone call like this in the next couple of weeks to anchor that.
I hope not. But
Great
my
seeing
son
you.
is going to be, my little one's so happy to have me home.
You're the best.
Not
Thanks for
the
doing
teenagers.
that.
Thanks a lot. We
Amber
appreciate it,
Theo
JT.
Harris. When we come back, Charles Woodson will continue here live, brought to you by Modelo, the fighting spirit of Modelo, live from the Intermountain Health Performance Center. Thanks again to Amber Theo Harris. You're listening to Raider Nation Radio. Beautiful.
Thanks, JT.
checking offers peace of mind, unrivaled security, and smart savings. There are
Yes, we need to hydrate Big D. Yes.
Yeah.
open up
Not
a
being able to give
checking
me
account today against interest, because if somebody's making money off your checking account, should be you, but privately insured by American Share Insurance. Big news, Las Vegas! PT's Taverns just changed the game. Introducing all new progressive jackpots linked across 65 PT's Taverns locations. We're talking both dollar and quarter progressives that hit on royal flushes and four aces with a kicker. Plus Keno progressives that hit on 7 and 9 spots. And here's the best part. Our 10-spot Keno progressive pays up to visit right there. Words.
Check to the breakfast. Volvo Las Vegas. It's a new 2025 Volvo. Thanks for the live reads today. I want to talk to you tomorrow about the Super Bowl recap and all that stuff. 2020. Electric SUV and gets 500 and a lease allowance. 0.9 APR financing at Finley Volvo, Las Vegas. This is JT for the 30 seconds. And if EA's running a little late, we'll throw to the Woodson. Okay. Heat72.com to find out about apprentice career paths and the schedules that are happening here in our valley. I'm proud to be associated with the 872, proud partners of my show, Raider Nation Radio.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought by Solo 872. Your workforce.
I grew up obviously watching a lot of Bills football. We're going against the Raiders every twice a year, and the grit of this franchise sticks out. When you hear the autumn wind as a Raider, I can hear that in my mind growing up. Watching NFL films and seeing these guys next to me play. Seeing Howie Long and Jim Plunkett. It's pretty powerful to be sitting up here with you guys. I just want you to know that. Those values that you guys played with, that's what we're going to play with.
That was Clint Kubiak live from his press conference, and I thought he nailed that also. He talked about the history of the Raiders, which is really important that he did that. He had to talk about the history of the Raiders, and he grew up, his dad was a Bronco. And as I've been talking about this with fans for quite some time, when you're brought up with another team and you work for another team, the second you get hired by a new team, that's where all your loyalty goes. Even though you have a great history with the other team, you're completely embedded with your new employer and your new job. And for Clint Kubiak, he handled that well today. A lot of people were ready to ask that question. What's your history with the Raiders? What are you thinking about with the Raiders where your dad was Gary Kubiak and what happened with him and John Elway? One of the things that I've been pointing out on this whole piece was the ability, and I asked him in our interview about growing up with John Elway. John Elway is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, top 5 on any list. Well, his dad and John Elway hung out together. So there were probably times where they were having dinner together at his house or going out and doing something, where they had a tremendous experience, and he learned something about that, which is really important. All right, so we bring in, after his long marathon session on YouTube, the Hall of Famer. Here he is, everybody, the great Eric Allen. Man, it looked like you were having fun today with that.
We had a great time. First started off with you and kind of get what the fan base is thinking, because you're dialed in and understand kind of what they expect. But just between me and you and listeners, I thought this was the perfect guy, because you needed someone who's been a part of developing and evaluating quarterbacks and making sure that that quarterback has the ability to process the information relatively quickly. And he's been to 4 or 5 places in the last 5 or 6 years and has had great experiences with a lot of those players who are trying to, overcome either all of those measurable issues. You're talking about Purdy, and no one wanted to have him. Derek Carr, he was able to really help continue playing at a very high level. So those are the things that, I thought that were going to be critical for this organization.
What about right there? And we're getting some good video of this. It's just him and his two sons running routes, man. And if we had an opportunity to do that with our dads as kids or our uncles, what it's like to go out on a field and not a multi-million-dollar indoor practice facility, but to watch his kids run route, knowing that he's got to get those kids back to school. He's got to go to the parade. I mean, how big is that parade going to be in Seattle? In Seattle. But I wanted to ask you, because I didn't see on Super Bowl Sunday, that was a bizarre Super Bowl. 6-0, 9-0 at the end of the third quarter. I was watching the game with Romo and Rod Woodson.
Okay.
And they were going nuts because they said, where are the screens? Where are the screens from Josh McDaniels to try to take the edge rushers and settle them down? What did you notice about that game? And then I'll follow up with the way Kubiak called it with Sam Darnold.
Well, first of all, I thought Seattle's defense was ultra prepared. And sometimes, JT, you can over prepare. So you're all these things are going through your mind, and you can be paralyzed by trying to process information. They looked like they were loose, and they were really dictating and jumping on routes. So they had a great understanding of the dynamics. And I was surprised that after maybe the second or third series that we didn't see some kind of change from the Patriots, whether you go to bigger personnel, so you widen the edges, because that tackle, man, that tackle and guard on the left side, they had a whole day.
Why though? Will Campbell was drafted very high.
Very high.
I know he had an injury. He said he came off an injury there, but I was just surprised that they got dominated the way they did.
And that's why I was surprised, because when you see that, and whether you're up in the box looking at it or on the ground, you see a young quarterback being pressured. He wasn't able to go from 2 to 3 and feel comfortable. So that's when you want to put that extra tight end or that extra guard or that fullback on that edge. Just give the opportunities. And you're right about the being able to maybe go quick and do some screens and things like that, just to get the quarterback in a positive frame of mind. It just didn't seem like he was there. But the Patriots played pretty good defense also.
9-0 going into the fourth quarter. So that's one touchdown and the ability to win the game 10-9 if they stopped everything. And I thought Vrabel and his defensive staff coached a hell of a game until the fourth quarter.
Exactly. And I thought they really did a great job of not allowing the Seahawks to get that big throw early, because in those playoff games, you saw Sam Darnold early in the game, man, having strikes downfield, right, to be able to kind of loosen up and dictate. But they took those things away. But just it comes down to the running game was just too much for the New England Patriots.
Eric Allen, the Hall of Famer, joins us. So before we get into Super Bowl and all that, Amber told us that she asked John Spytek, and you were involved with that, about this Mendoza pick and what's going to happen. There's some Max rumors. We don't buy into rumors, but when you see all this happening here, this was a beautiful day today. It was executed flawlessly by the whole team at Silver and Black Productions. But does it get complicated for you knowing how many picks could come if decisions are made differently, or just keep Max, which I think is going to happen, and just go get Mendoza and start with those two guys and this coach?
You know what, JT? I think for both of us, for me, it's very emotional because you love Max Crosby.
Right.
And you want Max to be in meaningful football games, and you're hoping our football team is going to be in those meaningful football games sooner rather than later. But this is an opportunity to maybe get a boatload of picks and players because he is so great. And you just hope that they're able to, the fan in me wants this football team to obviously do what's best. And what's best is to get players in here, because no matter who's coaching, we all know, JT, you got to have dogs, man. You got to have the personnel and the players. Every time the Raiders are a prominent football team, it starts up front. They have an offensive line, they have a defensive line, quarterback, and then you have the skill position players. We don't have that right now, JT, and we got to get that. And so I just hope that Max is a part of that, because I love the guy, and I think he's a all-time Raider player. And it's a difficult decision spy tech and Davis and Brady and our new coach Kubiak is going to have to make in the next couple of weeks.
Last one for Eric Allen. So I've been dying to ask you this. You go from the Hall of Fame in Canton, the celebrations, all the stadium celebrations.
Yeah.
What happened? I knew last I was texting you in San Francisco, you were on that bus with the class. I got to hear that. Was that like on purpose? Was that what was that all about?
So I fly in from San Diego and we're trying to gather up, and my son Jordan, we're going to go to the honors together. I'm late. So I'm upstairs getting dressed because he's visiting family members up in the area. So obviously I don't get an opportunity to get an Uber or whatever to go down there. So I call the Hall of Fame people and like, hey, listen, I'm going to be a little late, but I'm trying to get there. And they're like, oh, we're still downstairs. And I'm like, oh, great. So I come downstairs. Everyone else is gone because you couldn't get in 5:30. They close the doors. You can't get in because they want the new class to come in the back way like we did last year. So I walk downstairs, and as soon as I walk downstairs, I run into
Larry Fitzgerald.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I look over, I see Roger Craig. I see. So I text you immediately. I'm like, JT, I'm on the bus with the new guys. But I didn't give you the names until afterwards because I didn't want, and I know you wouldn't do it, but I only gave that text to maybe 4 or 5 people, and you were one.
So you were on the bus with them. What were they saying?
Drew Brees. They're like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Listen, guys, it's going to be a whirlwind." So I'm talking to Drew. I'm talking to all the guys about, why I think it's such a great time in their lives, and to really, while we're celebrating you as Drew Brees and Kuechly and all these guys, make sure you're celebrating those people who have been on this journey for the long time. And so I just had a really great hour or so just talking with them about what's going to happen and everything.
And you remember the story. We had Luke Kuechly at the Torch.
Yes.
And we didn't know about you in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
And we were both convinced he was going in first ballot.
Exactly.
And he would have went in with you.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to get too political, but Kraft didn't get in. Belichick didn't get in. Vinatieri didn't get in with you, which I thought was a big miss because you only had 4 in your class.
We only had 4 really.
There was room for Kuechly and Vinatieri in your class.
There were.
And that didn't happen. So see those guys who weren't first ballot, how was that handled?
It was great. And Jim Porter, the new president, has done an unbelievable job of making sure this thing is about the players. And he has a big input and who is knocking on the door for these players. He wants to be about the players. The one thing in our luncheon, he stood up and he said, I would be concerned if there wasn't a lot of questions about our process this year. And I thought about that and I said, he's right. There's a bunch of questions about the process and what happened this year. And if it just kind of went under the radar, it would be a problem because it wouldn't be as big as you want it to be. So he's going to do everything he can to make sure things are right. I love him. He's a great guy. He has the Hall of Fame exactly where we want it to be. And I'm just excited about this new class coming in.
Make some room for me and my wife in San Diego. I need a break. We got
the new sign, the point woman, to let you know that when you're coming to the community, it's lit up. It's right there, and we're gonna have you over this off season because after all the crazy stuff, we're able to kind of relax and sit down.
Just an insight for you. I got your jersey going up in my house.
All right.
With Otto, Freddie B, Jim Brown, Joe Montana. So you'll come to my house and see that. We're done with Eric Allen. He was fantastic to give us his time. When we come back, we'll wrap it up with our conversation with Charles Woodson live from the Intermountain Health Performance Center. Q's coming up next with a great show. Coach Kubiak still out here with all 3 of his boys running routes here. He's the only guy on the field right now. It's pretty cool to see. We'll wrap up the show next as we continue on the flagship. Thanks, my friend. You catching a flight now? You out here?
I'm going to stay. Austin.
You're staying?
Yeah, I'm going to stay and kick back. Austin has a day off tomorrow. So
that's great.
Back.
That's great.
Austin, you hustling, man. I'm working hard, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. We're done. Great job today. Appreciate everybody. This was a memorable show for the Bricklayers. Hit like.
It's